I'm quite sure you have heard of the sacred and secular divide. Yes, sacred and secular, right? I've been hearing it since I was not even 20 years old. It was a thing in the literature, it was a thing people were already observing. A persistent problem, right? Why do we keep having this tendency to divide the sacred and the secular? Well, when something is so persistent and we keep talking about it and talking about it, but all of our talking, all of our conceptions, all of our discussions don't quite cut it, then I think that quote, apparently from Einstein, needs to come in. And that is, if anything is worthy of solving, it cannot be solved at its original plane of conception. In other words, when you first think of an idea and it's a conundrum and you can't solve it, you can't think at that same level. You got to move up to another level and think of it from another angle or from another plane of consciousness. Keep that in mind. Recently, I was involved in some gatherings just in the city, total strangers, many people in the room, and I noticed something. The subject we were gathered to talk about was spirituality in the secular state, like Singapore. What is interesting is these people all came, they are interested in spirituality. So these are not people in the church, they are outside the church. But I observe that there is also another form of the sacred secular divide. As in, we are secular, we are material, we live in the world, but we still have an interest in spiritual things, in the paranormal, in mystery, in things we can't just easily, logically, rationally explain. We have a longing for the transcendent. So, if we are going to have any meaningful conversations about this, and if we are going to be able to really push the needle on this, I think we need to understand how the divide came about. Yeah. And then we need to understand what is working to keep that divide so entrenched in our mindset and in our lifestyles and in our worldviews, which is why it keeps occupying two separate spheres, and we're trying so hard to bring it together. Okay, in my journey, the thing that's helped me most is sacramental theology, which is theology that sees that God is present and working in all of life, not just within religion, not just within the church, for sure, but God is at work everywhere. That has helped me a great deal. It has helped me to honor all professions and not necessarily say the pastor or the missionary is above the businessman or the hawker or the homemaker. And from there, many things, good things come out of it. It talks about the worth of the individual, the dignity of work, the opportunity for witnessing, doing good, and building the kingdom of God in all these varied spaces. And if you were to push it all the way, even in spaces that perhaps we are not so willing to venture into, like the dark spaces and all that, I think God is at work there too. That does not mean that God is equally pleased with all spaces and God is found in all spaces readily. So we need to clear that out, okay? There are clearly spaces that God's presence is more tangible, more accessible, more ready. Prayers that places, for example, that are soaked in prayer, places, for example, that are filled with human kindness, that where there's a lot of good being pursued and righteousness being pursued. Yes, but the fact is, God is at work everywhere because this is His world. He loves it. He loves every one of us, and He is on His plan, on point, on time to redeem the world and to one day make heaven and earth one. So I think when God is going to bring everything together under His rule, He's uniting things. I think that's the starting point for us to rubbish this divide and say there is no divide because God is God overall, and not only that, God is working at a momentum to bring things together. And so in our own lives, let's let's make sure that we are as whole and as integrated as possible as persons, and we also recognize that all of us are called to occupy many spaces, and wherever we are, our greatest joy and privilege is to witness God's presence and activity and join Him in it. I hope this has been helpful. Take care, guys. And drop a comment and share your thoughts.